Tell me a little bit about this show and kind of what it is that you guys are doing on this little tour of sorts.
Well, first of all, I gotta say that it's been about 20 years since the movie's release, and the fact that Napoleon Dynamite is so resounding uh, even surprises me. I mean, I was talking to John earlier, and we were saying about how while working on the movie, we were big fans ourselves. We were quoting the lines after we would shoot it, and we thought, like, who knows? Maybe this might go somewhere. so, um, and so, we got somebody reached out to us about having to make appearances at different theaters and talking about our experience. But because John Heater, John Grice, and I were artists, and you put an artist on stage, we just become the three big clowns. I mean, there's a show after the screening of the movie. What happens is we screen the movie, and after that, um, we do a couple of songs. I mean, I play my harmonica. John Grice plays Uncle Rico, plays his guitar, and John Heater shows up with his keyboard, and he plays the keyboard, and we do a couple of songs. We reenact some of the scenes. It's a show being immersive with the audience. We connect with the audience, and we get the audience involved. They reenact some of the scenes. A lot of them are dressed up as the characters of Napoleon.
Nice.
Um, the only thing I gotta say is that you could come dressed up as the characters, but you cannot bring your llama.
What
So,
made you guys want to take this show on the road, I guess?
well, we knew that there are a lot of fans of this film already, and so people wanted to talk to us about the making of the film. So it became much more about having a moderator as well as us actors on stage and him doing a whole Q&A. But we realized when the audience were dressing up as the characters and really enjoyed the scenes, the history of making the movie, we thought, well, it just became something else. We started to reenact some of the scenes, and then we would pick the audience to go up on stage with us, and they would reenact the scenes, and it became immersive. And what's interesting about this film is that this is a movie that families can sit together and watch together. Whether the grandparents introduce it to their grandkids, or the teenagers introduce it to their parents, or the college students who are trying to figure out what the heck the movie is all about. This is a movie that everyone loves to be a part of. So for us as actors to be able to be on stage and really get involved with the audience and bringing out some of the scenes, there's a moment where I don't want to give away so much about about the show itself, but we do have a time machine and lasers, and we go back in time with crystals. It's a whole show, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. And I keep telling the guys, look, all we have is an hour. I'm not going to be there at the theater for forever. So, and people don't want to go home. I mean, at some point they have to go home. So it's just so like wonderful to see the fact that after 20 years, it still holds strong.
And that was kind of something that I was also going to ask you about is, this film coming out 20 years ago, when you guys were making this, or even maybe right after it came out, did you ever foresee that 20 years down the road that you would be performing these types of shows for these fans that are just as excited, if not more so now than they were even 20 years ago?
It's so surprising. Last night, yesterday was my birthday,
Well,
so
happy birthday. Happy belated
thanks.
birthday, man.
and and we were at a restaurant whatsoever and celebrating, and the owner and the master chef wanted to come by because they said that their grandkids and their kids are big fans of the movie, and I'm like, what? It's always surprising to know the fact that a movie can move people in such a way, and people ask me, well, what's the secret about this film? And I think um one of the things is that it leads with hope. Where there's no CGI, there's no special effects. It's just really all we have is each other. These characters are just trying to figure life out and trying to get through life in such a way. And so we're drawn to a character like Napoleon because as creative as he is, he's just trying to figure life out. And one of the special things about this film is that even in the third act, something great happens with every single character. So what I find interesting is that many people have seen it at home because they have the DVD. Um, but to see them with a bigger audience in a full theater, you could see how people are realizing how connected we really are. As different as we are, there's a lot of similarities where, where we could all relate to Napoleon because we are Napoleon, or we are Pedro, or we are Uncle Rico, or maybe the llama.
Because I went to Spirit Halloween the other day. Was it ever weird for any of you guys maybe seeing people like dressing up as your characters for Halloween? Because I know that like the Vote for Pedro shirt is still like people still wear those. You still see those out in the wild, or you see the Halloween costumes or whatever. How cool or how weird is that? I guess.
I think there's a moment in my lifetime where uh, we started to hear the buzz about how big the film was becoming, but it was only when I noticed when Denzel Washington was wearing a Vote for Pedro T-shirt. Tom Cruise was talking about it. You know, um, people of high status were talking about this film, and I thought, like, what? All right. Yeah, because I come from the school of theater. I was learning, David Mamet, Shakespeare, Tennessee Williams. So when I look at a character like Pedro, I thought, what if I make him into Romeo? And he leads with his heart all the time, and he's very ambitious and positive, and he tries to find something great with Summer Wheatley, no matter how different they are, even Bills are a cake. So something like that is it's so drawing. So the fact that after 20 years to see people enamored with these characters, where you could walk into a Spirit's Halloween store and see the costumes of our characters, I'm thinking, like, yeah, that's something that I'm a part of, and I'm lucky to be able to celebrate with everyone else in being a part of this film, and I'm just grateful. But these shows it really is a nostalgia recollection of remembering what movies are about, and they may be informative, but they're also entertaining, and the show itself for the diehard fans is very immersive, and it really is wonderful to see the audience, especially in a packed house, dressed up as the characters, who are remembering what's so funny about this film is that life can be funny, life can be difficult, but the most important thing is that, you know what, we're not doing this alone. We're doing this and living this together, and that's the key. So come out and watch the show. It's going to be great.